As some of you may know, if you joined one of our previous strategy webinars, I've been a strategy skeptic in the past, and that's most probably because, much like many people, the strategies that have affected me have been developed in a dark room by, admittedly, probably some very clever people. But the first I knew about them was when I received a lovely PDF via email or a big chunky document, which was then promptly filed and never looked at again. We all know that if you bring a diversity of perspective into decision making, you get much stronger outcomes. And as Rich has talked about, if you want people to go wild at your brilliance, it's probably better to make sure that it is brilliant. And they are much more likely then to get on board if they know what's going on and they've been involved in that process. Next slide, please, Rich. So at Kaleidoscope, when we work with clients to develop a strategy, we do end up with a lovely PDF at the end of it. Everyone likes a PDF. The process we go through is very much different because we think that the process of developing the strategy is actually as important as the strategy itself. And our first step in that process is making sure that people know it's going to be different this time. So we listen to the skeptic, like me, and we learn how to avoid the pitfalls of the past. We make sure that the leaders of the organisations we work with are very visible throughout the process, and that they're there to listen to people. And it's not just some external consultancy like Kaleidoscope coming in and taking soundings, but the leaders are there and involved in those discussions. And it's not happening far away from decisions are actually taking place. We really want to understand what the staff experience is, and we want to empower staff voice, which is why we often work with representative groups, so citizens' juries. And that gives many advantages. It means that staff who wouldn't normally come and speak to us or to the leadership are able to talk to their colleagues. Staff who maybe aren't able to get away from the wards that they're working on, we meet them where they are. So in the break room, over a cup of tea, we go to the wards, we go to the canteens. And that's something that representative groups can do much more easily, although obviously we have also done that and have spent many an afternoon driving around delivering feedback post boxes. We found that if you do all these things, you bring all of the insight back together, what you get is a much stronger output at the end, still your lovely PDF. Next slide, please, Rich. And the value that you get from the process is in a number of different ways. So by working with the whole organisation as part of the process, everyone becomes clear about what the organisational purpose is and the direction of travel for the organisation. The activities and engagement undertaken in the development process create a momentum that really accelerates the ability of the organisation to change. And if you're not trying to change anything, what are you doing a new strategy for? So the process of developing that strategy also creates and strengthens relationships, and it really role models the culture that the organisation wants to have. Most importantly, our approach means that you hear everybody, and that people that are often left out of decision making are involved in it. So you get a much stronger output, and everybody is on board with that final decision. Next slide, please. If you're wondering, sure, but how do we know it actually works in practice? What have you actually done? Well, we worked with NHS, Oxley's NHS Foundation Trust, which HSJ Trust of the Year 2023. We worked with them back in 2019 and the beginning of 2020 on their 5-year strategy, which is now coming to an end, and spent 6 months speaking to their staff in lots of different ways. So going out into the community, going to their team meetings, handing out cake, delivering post boxes, and making sure that everybody had a chance to have their say in what the future of that trust looked like. We've also worked with the Stroke Association, where we recruited and supported a citizens' jury to develop the organisational strategy. We worked with them for 9 months. That was a fairly long-term process. We've also worked in much tighter circumstances, where we worked with Ranji, in fact, who I'm going to hand over to in just a moment, on a much shorter time scale, but equally to ensure that staff were really thoroughly embedded and heard in the development of their strategy. We also recruited and supported a representative group. If you want to hear more about the projects we've done, we're very happy to have a chat over a cup of coffee, or if you want, there are pages on our website which have more details on.